Hi, this is Will Stewart from OnlineChessLessons.net, and today I'm going to present a little bit of analysis of a current ongoing game of mine and the OnlineChessLessons.net staff against the Chess Tweets community on Twitter. And so we've entered an interesting opening. We started out with a Najdorf, and so I'm playing white. OnlineChessLessons.net, OCL, I guess I'll refer to us in the video, and we're playing white. So we entered a standard Najdorf. It starts out, and we chose a Bishop E2 line. And so Bishop E2 is a pretty standard line, very, very popular by Karpov. Karpov employed some very fantastic plans, I believe mostly in the 70s with this opening, and it's been popular throughout the years. E5, take it straight to a Najdorf. And now Bishop E7, and now a typical continuation here. There's quite a few options for white. Castles is certainly a pretty standard move, the idea of castles. King H1 and F4. That's definitely an idea. The immediate F4 in this position, not so common. Also, Bishop E3 is seen quite often, occasionally A4. But I wanted to test the waters a little bit, kind of a sideline I've been checking into, and so I played G4. And so this move is very rarely seen. I actually was preparing this move to play in some serious tournaments, but upon looking into it deeper, I just don't know if it promises quite enough for white, because the main plans, I actually made a few videos on this almost a month ago, and the main plans, I believe this was employed by Nigel Short, among notably the top players. It was pretty tough to dig up some games in the database, but I saw Nigel Short and I believe none other than Alexei Shirov had played this opening for white. So, I looked into it, and it seems not so promising for white, actually. The main lines seem to revolve around H6. Black almost invariably plays H6, and in the current game against the Chess Tweets community, you guys they neglected to play H6, which enabled me to play the quick G5, gaining space, gaining momentum, and definitely I think it leads to a tougher position. So against H6, the main line seems to be F4. And I believe that's what Short had played, and I believe Shirov as well. And so F4 immediately. And I don't like this position, because now this G4 move seems like a weakness. And you're going to see, I don't want to go too deep into this, because I believe I looked at these in the videos, so just feel free to check out OnlineChessLessons.net, check out the website, or check out the YouTube videos. I looked at these in a lot more detail, so I'll leave those for that. But I just, at first glance looking at it here, I'm not a big fan. I mean, okay, white has got some pressure here, but this G4 move seems to be more of a weakness than a strength, and the game seemed to have led to somewhat of a rapid just trading pieces, or it didn't seem to be advantageous for white. So the G4 move, H4 seemed to be a promising continuation. That's what I personally would like to play, and the idea is if knight d7 trying to pick that pawn off, and if h5, white has accomplished absolutely nothing with this move. These pawns are weak. He's weak in the dark squares here, and so no dice on that one. So going back, the Chess Tweets community neglected to play h6, and I think that's the best move, because you got to impede white. Now on the flip side, if you play h6 and you just maybe white, okay, let's just pretend. If white can play G6 and break up black center, okay, that's going to be bad. But it seems like the move H6, it's a little bit tougher than it seems. Anyway, so check out the videos for that analysis. It's a little deeper. So let's continue with the game. So castles here. And, an interesting, so I got to play G5. We had to play G5. I mean, why play G4 if you're not going to play G5? That's the whole point. Making somewhat outrageous pawn moves such as G4 early in the game, which I love to do. if possible. You gotta push, and the idea is to disrupt the harmony in black's position, sidestep main line theory, and let's let's play chess. Let's not use opening manuals. Let's just see what's going on. And so g5. That's I mean, yeah, okay, why not? And so here in this position, knight e8 definitely seems like it's the move. But I was also considering that black might play knight d7. And it seems a little strange. His bishop is a little hemmed in on e6. But the idea is to try to maybe pinpoint this c4 square. And so possibly a queen c7, knight b6, and take it straight to c4. Maybe is an idea. I like this knight d7. Maybe it seems a little more active than the knight, because the knight going to e8 is going to have some problems, as we're going to see in a few moves, getting back into the game, because simply bringing the bishop and now that pin is going to be quite a pain in the neck. So maybe I prefer knight d7 here. It does hem this bishop in, but the bishop's not doing that much on e6 yet. Possibly f5 is going to come later. Maybe king h8 and f5. So I mean, it's tough to criticize a move like knight e8 because it is a natural defensive move, but I believe maybe I would prefer knight d7, and here we could see h4, or the move I chose in the game to defend the pawn rook g1, which I just like because it's opening a diagonal, it's opening a file towards the king and discouraging an f5 advance, which if you look at h4 does not do. So that was the reason. It'd be nice if I could just put this rook right here, but that's going to take a little time. So the move h4 doesn't really impede that. So anyway, the idea with knight d7 was simply maybe knight here, possibly knight to a5. Maybe some kind of way to try to get to that c4 square. So anyway, in the game we saw knight e8, and like I was saying, rook g1, h4. Let's say if I moved h4 here, it does not do anything to impede this f5 advance. And if everything gets broken up, I mean, f5, I have to take this pawn. This doesn't look good. And, taking like this, I don't know. I mean, it just seems to me, why push this pawn up? Maybe I want to move this rook up to g3 and over here and try to attack something like this. So it just doesn't seem altogether necessary to play h4 just yet. So I like rook g1. It just, let's go ahead and put a little x-ray. And after rook g1, let me see here, dig up this, we saw bishop e6, and that seems to be this move. Arguably immediate b5 with bishop b7 idea, or b5 and knight c6 right away. I think if you're looking at candidate moves, you either consider maybe knight c7 here, which I thought was a good move. The idea is simply being knight to e6. And maybe the knight's going to get to c5. This knight can come to c6. This is interesting. I mean, this game is it's definitely interesting. I mean, you got to think candidate moves. If you put the knight on e8, I mean, what's it doing? It's not going to get in the game on f6. And black doesn't want to play g6 because you're going to create a target for yourself here. You never want to move pawns in front of your king if you can help it, because you simply create a target for your opponent. By what I mean there is, the pawns staying back, this is more difficult for me to attack. And maybe I can push to h5 and push to g6, and black can simply respond with h6 or takes an h6, right? But by playing g6, this just makes it one move faster. It's like black gives me one or two moves even. So you never want to, with the idea of transferring the knight that way. So, here I would consider there's 4 candidate moves, reasonable, maybe 5. Four candidate moves, I think. 1, knight c6. 2, bishop e6. And 3, knight c7. And b5 is probably premature. I mean, you've only got one piece developed, so b5 is too fast. Um, so yeah, bishop e6. I mean, you can't fault a move like that. And here I just figured. I mean, what else am I gonna do? Am I gonna play a4? I mean, there's no point. Absolutely no point in playing a4. h4. Absolutely no point. I just want to put the bishop. Let's see if I can go back here. I just want to put the bishop on e3. I want to put my queen here. I want to castle, and then I want to roll these pawns up. And that's all I want to do. And so all I want to do, I want to play bishop e3, I want to play queen d2, and I want to castle. And then I just want to roll these pawns at black's king and try to win. And so bishop e3, knight c6, I mean, can't fault that. I mean, that definitely makes sense. And now queen d2, continuing my idea. And here, the chess tweets community, I mean, this is where the video is pretty much going to end up, chose to play a5, which I think is interesting because it gives up this b5 square, and I personally don't like a5. My initial feeling, my gut feeling, and I saw some of the guys, in the forum or the community, talking about what move to choose. Some people were saying f5 right away. Well, let's identify the candidate moves, right? I mean, this is the way to play chess, right? I mean, you look at the possibilities, analyze the position, figure out what's going on intuitively, what's your grasp, and then look at the candidate moves. It's time to look at it concretely. Well, what are the candidate moves for black? One, what's the first thing that jumps out? These pieces are discoordinated on the back rank, right? So is there any way to get them back, to develop this knight? Well, knight c7 directly is going to run into bishop b6, and this is tough. I mean, bishop b6, because it's going to impede this b pawn. It's going to stop that b pawn for a second, and if queen here, just simply castles, and maybe this. I mean, this is a possible line I would look at. But d5 is not going to happen. First of all, this is pinned, and this bishop is eyeing that d8 square, and that's just not good for black. I mean, what's going to happen here? I mean, white's just going to play, okay, rook g3, h4, or if you want to be prophylactic, king b1. But I mean, come on. I mean, I played g4. I want to be aggressive, so probably h4. Why not? And this is simply not an option. I mean, I guess, okay, maybe this is an option due to the pin here. But even such, I mean, maybe just queen here. Just take it easy. So that's knight c7 seems to be rolled out. Knight c7's position, I think bishop b6 just is too easy, and it freezes these pawns. Essentially, for the most part. I mean, this is obviously not going to work. So knight c7, rule it out. So what are the other ideas? Well, f5 seems enticing, but I'm not buying. I'm just not buying because, I'm not going to play this move. Although, this is not even that bad for white. But I don't want to play that. But, maybe I could. Maybe we can open it up. In this open G file... This open G file is not helping black. Now, he does get activity in the form of that knight coming back, but this is becoming a difficult position, and I don't like f6. Yeah, black, in these opposite color or these opposite castle type positions, it's who gets there first. So a5 was the move. I personally liked b5 or possibly rook c8. I think b5 was the best choice, but a5 was the move, and I think I've run out of time on this video, so you're going to have to check out the game on Chess Tweets. I don't really want to give away the move right here. So, this is Will Stewart from OnlineChessLessons.net, and yeah, thanks for tuning in.